let's just dive straight in.
Yeah.
What's a healthy relationship?
Ooh,
You're a therapist.
I am.
What's a healthy relationship?
I feel like a healthy relationship is, kind of quoting our second episode, a relationship where we are given a lot of space. Where we're allowed to be ourselves, we're allowed to have shortcomings, and they're not attacked, they're not criticized. I think they're people that are safe. I think that's really kind of the root of it, the way that I would talk with the client about it, the way that I would see it myself.
Safety, again.
Yes.
Safety. I like to think healthy relationship is safety, but also like a give and take.
Okay.
Right? Because I can feel safe with someone, but they don't ever do anything for me.
And I guess I would argue that, yes, you're right, but I guess it shouldn't be applied. I shouldn't assume. But I think that for me, a relationship isn't safe if I'm not able to participate as well. Because then we feel that kind of gunky, like they're just taking.
Take.
Yeah. And just to make sure that we're always kind of holding the balance, right? Like sometimes someone's always taking because we haven't set the tone, that we don't say things like, hey, can I give too?
And I think too, when we say like relationships, I'm imagining, I'm looking this way more.
Trying to.
As you're listening on the podcast, I'm looking at the camera that's also on YouTube a little bit more today. I think that as we think about healthy relationships and giving and taking, it's not just romantic, because I almost think that we almost immediately go to this like romantic place of like, I give a little, you give a little, I give a little, you give a little, versus like my boss, like I need to show up for them and they need to show up for me, right? Yeah. Like when we've had really crappy bosses, it's because they demand and they don't give you anything, right? Yeah. And the same thing with like friendships and like family relationships. There is this like back and forth that's so important.
I think that's important to bring out, because I think in sessions that happens a lot too. Is I love to use the word relationship, but I feel like clients they pull back sometimes because they think that I'm talking about romantic relationships. And so I always nudge clients and I say, relationships like friendships, family, yada, yada, yada.
Like what we have right now.
Right.
I say that to clients all the time. It's like, we have a relationship. It's like, it's a professional relationship.
Yeah.
But it's a relationship. So what we actually can experience in therapy is a really healthy relationship, right? There's clearly defined boundaries. There's a give and take. And that's where I'll have new clients come in and they'll talk about like horror stories of previous therapists who just sit and like take notes, and they're like, they didn't say anything all time. And I'm like, you have nothing to worry about with me. No. I'm very engaged. I will talk quite a bit. And then I've had other clients who are like, my other therapist just talked the entire time and just gave me stories. And I was like, well, I get where that comes from, because I could be guilty of that. But it's more about like the story should totally reflect what you're going through in your life.
Yeah. And just like a relationship, I think a therapeutic relationship is really important because it simulates a healthy relationship, because we're not friends, so we don't have that obligation to make sure that we're always taking care of your, like, this sounds so odd, but taking care of your feelings, because I think it's our job to instead point out what you're feeling and to help you draw those things out, so we can step into places friends can't. When a friend targets something that you feel insecure about, we get offended, we pull away. But in a therapeutic relationship, we pull it out because we very gently nurture it.
Yeah. That it's safer. It's almost safer for us to be more critical than friendships, because really, like, if a therapist pisses you off, you can fire the therapist, right? Like there's a level of safety there because it's professional, versus a friend. If a friend goes, you're kind of being a douche.
Yeah.
Like, that's going to hurt your feelings and you're going to like worry about losing that friendship, versus if a therapist calling you out on your BS behavior, it doesn't feel good, but it's a little bit safer because you can choose to leave that relationship in a very structured way.
And I think one thing that's really important for just clients to be aware of and clients to know is nothing that we talk about leaves the room, right? We always hear about it, the confidentiality, the privacy, but I think it's important to note, like, part of the safety in a therapeutic relationship is that your therapist cannot talk about this stuff with anybody else. So even if we come in and even if we're talking about these really gritty, like, gunky things, they're not going to spill anywhere. It's not going to be used against you. It's not going to circulate in the friend group. And so in that space, it's really safe to talk about those things.